Next is the presentation on Public Services Department Beautification Program and summary of capital improvement projects. Fernando J. Rodriguez, Public Services Director, and Dinser Hozaiden, Deputy Public Services Director and City Engineer. Gentlemen.
Good evening, commissioners. Let me see if I can start my video. Hold on so I can get on video real quick. Good evening, everyone. Commissioners, member of the administration who are present, and of course, those of the residents watching from home. My name is Fernando Rodriguez. And tonight we're going to provide a two-part presentation on our current capital project.
Can hear.
Can everyone hear?
Can hear word.
Really? Am I unmuted, Frank?
No, you're better. Go ahead.
You're better.
Okay. Good evening. Did you get my introduction? Should I do it again?
Yes. Yes. No.
Okay. I'm good. Fernando Rodriguez is my name. I'm the Director of Public Services for Dania Beach. Good evening, commissioners, members of the administration, and the residents watching from home. Tonight, we're going to provide a two-part presentation on our current capital projects. These are projects that were programmed and funded for this current fiscal year 20 and 21. And we're going to start with the, I don't know if you can see the presentation slides, but I'm going to start with the fact, okay, for the first part of the presentation, I will cover some street and infrastructure projects. And then the second part will be presented by Deputy Director Dinser. We'll focus on stormwater improvement projects. So it's a two-part presentation. I will begin with the top left project, which is the Citywide Streetlights Improvement Project. It is currently in the design phase. This is a very exciting project. It's really based on a comprehensive master plan that was recently completed, and it will address citywide lighting needs throughout the city. It will enhance safety, both of pedestrian traffic and vehicular traffic. And there will be roughly 400 street lights that will be installed throughout the city. And we plan to complete this project in probably 4 phases. It's a lot of lights. And our goal is to start in the first quarter of calendar year 2021. So we will start in the next 3-4 months, the actual implementation of these lights. The cost of the project is roughly $2.2 million. And we're really looking forward to getting this started to address the street light needs of many of certain parts of the city that really need it. The second project that we'd like to cover up in the upper right-hand corner is the Citywide Speed Hump Assessment. It is a project that actually is based on the assessment. The project implementation is what we're going to cover. It is in the bidding phase. So this is a little more further along than the streetlights. And the speed humps project will address there are 80 speed humps right now. Of those 80, only 4 are compliant. And that we're talking about compliance with Broward County standards. We're going to, in this project, be able to correct the majority of the speed humps, and they have a number of issues or challenges. Mainly, some of them are too high, some of them don't have the proper signage or the proper striping. So we certainly will be addressing all of those deficiencies and put them back up to compliance, and it will enhance traffic calm.
Well, they are.
Obviously, traffic calming will enhance pedestrian safety, vehicular safety, and this project will be starting up in the early part of next year. We're looking forward to getting that going in maybe January or February of 21. And the cost is roughly $470,000. It's a 2-phase project, so it will not all be done in 1 year, but we are going to be going into calendar 22 to finish the entire speed hump improvement project. The third project that we wanted to go over with you is over to the left, lower left-hand corner, is a sanitary lift stations, 2 of them, 5 and 10. These are some of our older stations, and through an assessment that we've done through all of our stations, these 2 are next in line to be refurbished. It will improve both reliability and the efficiency of these stations, which service a couple of different areas of the city. And we expect to have the project come to, because it is in construction phase already. which is really good to be able to report to you. We are already in motion constructing the first refurbishing project. It will improve the efficiency and reliability of this service. Sanitary sewer service is very, very important. The two stations the budget is about $900,000 for both in that one project. Moving on to the last one that I'm going to cover today is the Second Avenue water main replacement. You may recall we presented on this project a little earlier in the summer, and this is in the bidding phase. It is a fairly complicated project, and we have very old lines in that and on that section of the city of the avenue and some of the side streets as well. It's going to be they are almost 70 years old, these lines. So we're going to replace nearly 9,000 linear feet of this pipe, and that will improve not only the reliability of the service, but also the water quality will be maintained, which is very, very important. We've had an increasing number of breaks in this water main on Second Avenue Northeast. So we really are looking forward to getting this going and getting this project started. We are confident. Our goal is to complete it in calendar 21. So that is maybe we can complete that earlier. And it is the project is close to $2 million. And if you want to now invite if there are any questions on these 4 projects, I'll be glad to answer before we go over to the second part of the presentation.
I have a question.
Yes,
I have
please.
a question as well, and so does Commissioner James. Let me ask real quick. Fernando, the 2 lift stations that you're talking about fixing, what areas does that cover? Do those 2 lift stations cover?
Actually, that I kind of thought that would be a very appropriate question to ask. And just to make sure, lift station number 5, which is in process now, is servicing Meadowbrooks condominiums and parts and sections of the Southeast neighborhood. Not the entire Southeast, but a good part of the Southeast and the Meadowbrook condominium. Number 10 is a similar size station. I think a little smaller, but very similar. It's going to serve the Dakota the development area, that whole complex, and the hotels nearby in the northwest section of the city. So these are the 2 areas that, again, these are 2 of 17. We have, these are not the only, obviously, we have many more stations. These 2 are going to be refurbished very shortly. And it's going to be a great improvement to be able to have these new stations coming along to provide that service to those areas.
I know you're going to talk about the flooding issues in this presentation as well, but is there anything coming up that's going to be helping the areas out by Southwest 40th?
Certainly, we are going to, Dinser will talk about that shortly after we finish the questions on this section. I will hand it over to him. So yes, the answer is yes, we have a project in particular that is focusing on that. Great question, thank you.
Commissioner James, you had a question?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Fernando. I have 2 questions. The first question is regarding the Streetlights project. Not so much is my question directed towards new streetlights versus the maintaining the old streetlights. There are a number of streetlights that are always out, and I know we report them to you all, and you all go out and you take a look, and you try and fix those. But is there a different type of process that can happen when people have streetlights out? Because I swear I get calls every day about this streetlight is out on that, and I don't know how long the time frame is in order to get it addressed and fixed. Or what we should be looking for. But I'm not sure if there is a division or someone in your department that addresses streetlights, or maybe at night to take a ride around the city and see which streetlights are out, because there are always a lot of streetlights out in different areas. And I only know if people tell me, because I don't, really drive around at night. But what can we do to make sure that we are maintaining the streetlights that we have, or do we just have to let you know when we hear of something?
Okay, that's an excellent question, Commissioner. And I know that a lot of the correspondence that you and I have. So certainly, I know that that's a major concern, and you're really on top of it. And we're trying to be on top of it. What happened, and we were beginning to get really proactive towards the beginning part of the calendar year, which seems to be ages ago now, right? January seems like it was 3 years ago. January, we were getting really our ducks in a row with proactive maintenance, not only with facilities and landscaping, but also we were getting into the streetlights and trying to really be more proactive. And I know that this is the people using this as a reason or as an excuse, but the reality is when we went to our A, Alpha, and Bravo shifts, which really cut our staffing in literally half, and that's going to stop now at the beginning of November. But when we did that, it really knocked out a lot of the proactive efforts. We were really reacting. And you may recall before the February, March timeframe, we were doing a lot better. And our plan is to go back to being more proactive, particularly now when the time changes, it'll be dark at 6 o'clock. We're going to have opportunities to check lights in the evening and certainly early in the morning as well. We're still going to check them in the morning and try to be proactive. One of the problems that we're facing, challenges, is that these solar lights, as practical as they are to install, as cost efficient as they are, because there's no electric bill, the batteries on them don't last much more than 2 or 3 years. So the batteries have to be changed. Often it isn't even the light fixture. So yes, the answer is we're going to be more proactive, go back to what we were doing in January, February, and we're going to have our staff back very shortly in next month. And we also, with your support, the commission supported us in the budget with our additional position in facilities. That foreman position will be instrumental in really leading the charge with the proactive maintenance, again, not only in lights, but landscaping, irrigation, facilities, and street lights. So I'm looking forward to getting back on the horse with that. And it's an excellent question. Right now, yes, we are relying a lot on the reports that come in through commissioners and others.
I can continue to send them. I just wanted to make sure that, that's the easiest way for us to communicate with you all when we have an outage or an issue of that magnitude.
And that is, but we need to do better. We need to do better on our own. We can't rely. The proactive maintenance, what it is, you catch it before it becomes a phone call. And you could substitute the word email for phone call. So great question. And I'm talking to our staff already about when we're back to full strength in November, in the field particularly, we will be really looking at a proactive maintenance program that's going to be reborn. We already had one going, and with a new foreman position, that's going to be instrumental.
And my second question was about street paving. There are a lot of streets, and I get these complaints a lot about street paving and street striping, but I don't see that. I don't remember if we really discussed that or if there is a plan in this year's budget to address some of the streets that are in really bad shape. And, once it rains, I don't know the engineering and how asphalt works, but you get these big potholes, and some of the areas are really difficult to drive over. I know I sent an email today, but those are the types of phone calls that I get that say, UPS can't come through, and everyone is complaining about these streets, or I don't have lines on my streets, and people can't tell they're in my lane or in someone else's lane, and don't know when to stop. So do we have anything to address those concerns as well this year?
Yes, Commissioner, we have a master plan that Dr. Bloodshed provided to us this year. We're following it. It's a prioritized plan based on the roadway conditions, not just striping, but also the actual sub-base and the actual surface. We do have some roadway challenges. There are cities that are doing worse, but certainly we can do better. And I can tell you that we're following that plan, and we spend nearly $500,000 a year in resurfacing, and through some of the grant money that we're getting through the municipal penny surtax. That's going to leverage our expenditures this year and in the years going forward. So we will be looking. I have that report from you today. It's just that it's been a very, very busy day, but I will be looking at that street to address it and put it in a priority. The master plan, to be sure, is prioritized, but it doesn't mean that we cannot shift some things around when we see a report, or as you say, the rain, we got 9 inches of rain in 4 or 5 days. The rain gets into those cracks that are already existing in the pavement, and what follows is what the engineers call, or what we call it, I guess I'm an engineer as well, a hydrostatic shock. And that is the tire, especially imagine an 18-wheeler going over a small crack with water. It really pressures that crack open even further. Before you know it, you have a pothole. So that hydrostatic shock is something that is our enemy. And all we can do is try to address the pothole after it happens, or have resurfaced new roadways. So what you see is a common phenomenon, and unfortunately, we got so much rain in the last few days that it's incredible how much rain we got. So yes, we will be addressing your particular report that you sent, and we will be follow the master plan. We are following it, and we spend nearly $500,000 per year in resurfacing, and we get about 4 or 5 miles out of that. And so we will continue to do that, and we'll try to be more diligent about it.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Commissioner Brennemart.
Yeah, it's a quick question. Good evening. The Southeast 2nd Street water main replacement, is that going to be a bigger pipe?
Yes, it's going to be a 12-inch pipe.
It is. What was it?
It was an 8.
Okay, thank you.
And a better material, better grade of pipe as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Great question.
No other questions. Go ahead, Fernando.
Okay, before we go to the next presenter, I just want to say a few words, if I may. Just indulge me for like 30 seconds. Deputy Dinser Osaidin, who joined us barely 3 months ago, has been, I mean, literally, and I'm going to borrow one of the manager's phrases, he really hit the ground running, and I mean that in the truest sense. He has been a fantastic addition to our team. His ability, his experience, those are important, but just his attitude and his energy. I can't say enough about this fellow. He's gelled with our team very well, and I'm really, really proud to have him as my colleague. I really consider him a colleague, not someone who reports to me per se. And I think that he is going to has made this team so much better. So I don't want to, make him blush or anything, but I wanted to just introduce you to Dinser Osaidin, and he will be talking about some stormwater projects that we have coming online.
Thank you so much, Fernando. Do you guys hear me?
Yes.
Perfect. Good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners. My name is Dinçer Osaidin. I'm the Deputy Public Service Director and City Engineer. And I'm a professional engineer and a general contractor. I would like to first say thank you. I feel very honored to be in this position. When I first started, manager, assistant city manager, directors, and team members gave me a very warm welcome because I didn't know what to expect when I first started. I'm so happy to work in here. And also, I am looking forward to contributing more to the vision that you have for the city. Invest in our future. Drainage is our investment. So as you can see, I prepare 4 projects, current projects. Southeast Drainage Improvements Project, Southwest 43rd Terrace Drainage Project, Dania Cove Project, and Ocean Park Drainage Project. I'm gonna start with the large one, Southeast Drainage Project. The purpose of this project is to address current flooding challenges at the neighborhood bounded, as you can see, Southeast 5th Avenue to the east, Southeast 7th Street to the south, Southeast 2nd Avenue to the west, and Southeast 3rd Street to the north. Construction cost is little over $9 million. We will be starting the construction in 2020, at the end of 2020, and we are hoping to complete at the end of 2022. So what this project does, 103 acres, and basically exfiltration trenches and pump stations and pressurized injection wells. So the water is not going to stay on the roadways the way that it shows. It's going to be pumped through the injection wells. That's going to be our storage. So that's the first project. The second project is Southwest 43rd Terrace Drainage Project. I think that our mayor was asking about that area close to Southwest 40th Avenue. This project is basically boundaries by Griffin Road, Southwest 43rd Terrace, Southwest 54th Court, and State Road 7. This project includes exfiltration trenches, which is a storage for the pipes, and as well as drainage connection. So it's kind of like a hybrid project. This project is little over $2 million. What this project does is that, as you can see on the picture, that the water is not going to stay there. It's going to go to the storage, which is underground pipes, as well as connected to outflow. So that's our goal. And when you ask me when this project is going to start and finish, it's going to start in year 2021. It's going to start and finish in 2021. So I'm going to move on to the next project, which is Dania Cove. Dania Cove area has been flooding when there is a moderate rain events. It floods because system lacks sufficient stormwater capacity. So it's not going to be an easy type of fix because it's going to be a little different. We are going to raise the roadway, and also we are going to install a retention pond with the pipes. So the water is not going to stay on the roadways. It's going to move from roadways to the retention pond. And this project, again, will start and complete in year 2021. Another project that we have, the fourth project, is Ocean Park Drainage Project. When I first started, my first day, Fernando took me to lunch, and that was the first place. He said, this is your first task. So the first day I saw it without the rain, there was the area that flooding without the rain event. So even without the moderate rain event, we are going to install pipes and connection and connect it to existing drainage pipes. This project again will start 2021 and will be completed in 2021. I'm gonna go through, and you may say, well, these are great projects, but my area is not one of those. And what are the future drainage improvements? Well, the stormwater master plan will address below challenges: the cause and extent of existing flooding, effects of sea level rise and tidal impacts, stormwater system capacity, address the citywide flooding. There are some areas that particularly not being addressed with those four projects, such as 34th Place and Griffin Road, Southwest 37th Terrace and Sterling Road, West Dania Beach Boulevard. These are the ones that basically going to be studied and taken care of with the future drainage improvements. And also, just wanted to mention to you, those are the future projects, but what we do maintaining it, we keep cleaning our drains. That's one of the most important things. We also have contract for another contractor to clean our drains in addition to our teams. And also I and Fernando that we discussed that we are going to install flap valves. Those valves are not going to allow water coming in from the outfalls, that because of high effects of sea level rise and everything is increasing. So that's one of the things that is going to avoid water coming in future. And if you have any questions, I would love to answer.
Commissioner James?
Yes, thank you. Could you go back to the first project?
Absolutely. This one? Southeast?
Yes. Yes. I have a question. I thought that was, are there any questions, are there any portions that will address the other floodings like on Sterling Road? I didn't know that newer projects, or maybe you can tell me why newer projects or developments that have been developed most recently, why they are flooding right now. So, for instance, when you talk about the Aldi's was completely flooded a couple of days ago. It was like a river. Dania Point completely flooded. And I thought when we have newer projects that we have different types of infrastructure that can handle those things, like how you're going to be tying these old drainage into pipes that actually go somewhere. I don't know the capacity of newer projects. I didn't know that they would flood, or are the developments meant to flood inside so we don't have water on the outside? Because you couldn't even park in Dania Point a couple of days ago, and you couldn't even get into Aldi's if you were on Sterling Road a couple of days ago. The water was coming into Sterling Road. So how does that work? When we approve new projects and when they are built and constructed, are they supposed to have the capacity to retain and hold the water and not be flooded in the parking lot?
Well, you're absolutely correct, Commissioner James. Yes. First of all, before even going to the building departments, they go through the Development Review Committee. These are DRCs. That's typical for every city. So those DRCs, not only we don't allow them to flood the city's roads and highways, also that they're gonna have to not flood the neighbors. So yes, they're supposed to have enough capacity to keep it. What happens is that sometimes the drain might be not clean. That would be one thing that we can definitely warn them. The second thing is, the second issue would be recently that last few days, we got more rain event than regular. So if we compare recently, that's a little challenging because when I talk to residents and neighbors, they haven't seen anything like this for the last 30 years. So,
right.
But in general, you're absolutely correct. For example, West Dania Beach Boulevard, I have good news for you because that Saratoga area, right? That you've probably seen.
Yeah, I called about that this morning, I think, or
right.
yesterday morning.
So I was the one that came and closed the roadway on Saturday and Sunday, and I was there helping the residents, one of the residents stuck there. So what happened is that one Saratoga's contractor is gonna come and install the drainage pipes. You are correct. It's not going to stay the way that it is. For example, that one is going to be addressed by the private developer. When it comes to, for example, Publix area, I'm driving and I'm seeing it, you're correct, but that roadway is belong to the Florida Department of Transportation. I don't know what is wrong, but I already reported, so we will see what the results will be. Yes, so you're absolutely correct.
And that drain that's going to go by the Saratoga, will it be tied into a pipe that will go somewhere, or would it just be a sitting drain that when it fills up, is just going to be flooded again?
It is mainly the keeping storage. There is no connection because in order to us to have a connection, we have to have an outfall. So that area is going to be basically a storage. But we have enough swales a little further down, but that area that floods is the lowest spot. So you may know that most of the areas didn't flood. The only area flood is right at the corner. So that area.
Yeah, because it's in between the two projects. It was in between the two projects. And when we approve of the projects and you know, they have different, they have to be set at a higher standard because of sea level rise and the new requirements, what happens is it leaves those lower lying areas, they become pools.
No, absolutely right. And so those are the storage areas, but also that's the main area. Even it's a small rain event, regular rain event, I see little flooding. So this is going to resolve those issues in moderate rain events. It's not going to be so perfect because if we have a rain like this weekend, of course, that is going to be a little problematic again.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Commissioner Harris? You're muted. There you go.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, so Fernando and Dinzer, this past weekend's rainfall, we can turn the challenges into a positive and find out that our drainage services are being able to handle the regular rain, but not the excessive rainfall, because I know from the League of Cities that there were reports of flooding everywhere from Deerfield Beach to Hallandale and beyond, because we received, what was it, 8.5 inches of rain, which is more than half of the annual rainfall for the month of October in all of history. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
By the time we got to 7 inches, we were almost at the full October amount for the entire month in almost any year. So we reached it before the weekend.
Okay, so in the future then, you know, when we plan for stormwater runoff, this will give a good indicator of how we need to improve our drainage systems and what we have to do in cases of an extreme emergency like this. Wouldn't you say so, Dinzer and Fernando?
That is correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and the master plan, again, is a very holistic, comprehensive. It will cover the entire city, and we will address, for example, the Saratoga area or West Dania Beach Boulevard. If that storage that the developer is building cannot address even a 5-inch event over a 3-day period, which is less than what we got, then we need to, that master plan will look at that and start looking at ways to tie in perhaps to the nearest body of water through a gravity system or maybe pressurized system into the outfall. But again, that's what a master plan does. It addresses future projects and it gives us a roadmap, which the 4 projects that Dinser covered, as good as they are, and as well targeted as they are, we are not claiming that's going to solve the entire area, the entire city flooding issue through citywide. That requires a master plan, and it takes patience and some years to build and takes money.
And the master plan as well would involve the sister cities from Fort Lauderdale to Hollywood to Hallandale to increase the drainage that everyone has to deal with overall. Wouldn't that be part of the master plan as well?
Yes, it's connectivity possibly to our sister cities, it's connectivity to existing outfalls or to new outfalls, it's connecting to, as Commissioner James alluded to earlier, possibly existing pipe systems, connecting to those. So everything is on the table with a master plan. It's like a puzzle.
Yes, okay, thanks very much. Thanks for all your extra efforts as well.
Thank you.
I have a couple of questions also. Fernando or Dinzer, I'm not sure which. With regard to the Saratoga flooding in that area, does that have anything at all to do with the patch? Because I recall that when they were finalizing that project over there, that there was an issue with the patch with the berms or something to that effect, and it was causing some issues with flooding. And I don't, was that resolved, or is there still a problem over there?
As far as I know, what I see is main problem that we have is that's the lowest spot that they are going to take care of it. That's causes flooding. So I'm not sure if patches cause it. I don't think so, but mainly because of the elevations that causes flooding in this area at that location, especially the one that we closed it this weekend.
Yeah, that's a great point. But let me add to that, that yes, in my year and 4 months here, I've heard more than once from folks who have been here for much longer than I have, that they believe the patch, when it was constructed the way it was put together, that it contributed a little more to it was already flooding, but it made it a little worse. How much worse? No one can really tell. But as part of the master plan, we will insist that they look at even that possibility. What happened? They can go back in history, see what was happening before that. They can look at old photographs and aerials, and they can determine, okay, this might have contributed X amount, let's address it. That's the master plan does. Again, to implement the master plan will take some dollars. It will be a roadmap to get somewhere, to get to what we want to get to.
Thank you. Also, this presentation, is this going to be someplace where residents can take a look at it if they'd like to?
We can make that happen.
Absolutely.
Sorry, coughing. Can we put it on the website or do something with it so that people can easily?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's important. I do see that there's a couple of hands up, but they appear to be residents, and I'm going to hold off on calling on those individuals until we get to citizens' comments. I know at least one of them already put in a paper, so we'll come back to those individuals when we get to citizens' comments. Anyone else on the commission that wants to speak on this? Okay. All right. Next.
Thank you so much.
Is that it?
Thank you. Yes.
That's it.
Thank you, gentlemen.